G'day, guys. Welcome back to Stat Chat Sports. You're here for our, not our weekly AFL previews, but these are every 2 days. We're putting out a preview of each AFL team every 2 days in the lead up to the 2023 season. We've already put out the Hawks. We've already put out North. Today, the GWS Giants. It's our preview of the Giants team, and we're doing this because we think they're going to finish 16th. BT, not overly optimistic on the Giants. Why are we so low on the Giants? Run us through it.
Well, I ranked them 16th. And now, if you go back, listen to our last two videos on North Melbourne and Hawthorn, this GWS team should be last. They're finishing bottom. I got my ranking wrong, and I think they're finishing bottom.
Well, I picked them last.
You did, yep.
Dead last.
I don't like this team at all. Now they've lost Taranto and Hopper, two quality players. I can't see them doing much at all. They've got hardly any forward line behind Toby Green. He's not going to play many games. He'll get suspended at some point. There's nothing there. There's nothing there for this team. A new coach always takes quite a long time for a new coach to step in and do something. You get your rare occasion where a new coach comes straight in and actually does something, like last year with Collingwood, but there's nothing's going to happen with this team at all.
BT is scathing at the moment. He's come out hot. I'm surprised. I'm pretty sure he's been on the sauce, Tazza. This is a heated reaction for a team that certainly they've had some big losses over the off season, but yeah, just scathing from BT.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to see where this team really improves. I mean they did get pick one in Cadman. I mean he's got to play because, like BT said, that forward line sucks.
I don't think he plays. I don't think he plays early. And if I'm the Giants coach, I'm not rushing him in because I don't want to put that pressure on him. He's raw.
But it's not like this.
Forward. They've got key forwards. They've got Himmelberg. They've got Hogan. They've got Riccardi, who I think Riccardi's a bit average, but they don't have to play him day one.
But they showed a tendency to play Himmelberg back. So does he shift back? I mean, he's more of a swingman now, anyways.
He could play. He could. I don't think he will. He hasn't been playing the back line in the preseason, so
yeah, he's training forward. From all the 2-minute research I did of this club. They don't deserve any more time.
BT, settle down. We might have some Giants fans watching this, BT. This is not. We're trying to grow our podcast here. We just crept over 500 subs last year. We're trying to take things to another level. You can't just completely disregard a whole supporter base, mate.
What? There's a supporter base for this club? I didn't know. They get as many viewers at their games than like the club down the road from me.
Oh no,
that's what they come under.
Oh no,
BT, you are a savage today. Far out.
I know why this is. I know exactly why BT is so hung up on the Giants, and that's because you picked them to make the grand final last year. Let's be honest.
Oh, you did.
I did. Yeah,
that was a terrible call.
That's a shit call, BT.
I picked Josh Kelly for the Brownlow as well. So
no.
Yeah. So this GWS are probably one of my most hated clubs now. We're up there with we all know who my most hated club is, and I'm sure you'll find out within the next coming days. But I think that they're up there. They're up there with my most hated club.
Wow. Okay, there you go. Okay, so let's actually talk a little bit about the Giants here, rather than just a scathing BT attack. As we said, some big outs in the off season, and they're really starting to rebuild with new coach Adam Kingsley. So 4 big outs via trade. Taranto, Hopper, both going to the Tigers. That's a huge get for the Tigers, and we'll touch on them as we get towards the start of the season. Bobby Hill finally makes his way out of the club. I don't think that's a huge loss for them. And they bring in Toby Bedford, which really is a like-for-like sort of trade there, I think. And Tanner Brun, I think that's an underrated loss. I mean, he was an early draft pick, goes to the Geelong Cats, and I don't think that the Giants got that much back for him. So, yeah, it's obviously not a great off-season for the Giants, but they've gone hard at the draft, and they've picked, I think, 4 or 5 players inside the top 30, which they had to do, Tazza.
Yeah, I mean, like we spoke before, Cadman, number one, he's a future. He's a key piece you're going to build around. But yeah, I mean, Tanner Bruin, he's just walking into the perfect situation at Geelong where he may not get it straight away, but he's going to go walk in there for midfield minutes. But that midfield has been decimated. And it was one of their strengths. GWS, they could roll Taranto, Canelio, Kelly, Hopper when he was fit, and they had so many guys to run through there, and they're gone. It's all disappeared, and they're left. I mean, looking at this, I had them 13th, and I'm with
I
you,
can't
BT. I
believe
don't
it.
know why.
I can't
I
believe
know.
it. Hasn't.
I sat
Yeah.
through my whole aggregate thing, and I did game by game who I think was going to win, and I have no idea how they ended up 13th because this side sucks. That midfield that was their strength is now there's nothing there. There's a Josh Kelly and there's a Canelio and a Tom Green. That's it.
Yeah, there's no depth.
And it drops off
it.
so fast.
Their top end, their top three is good, but there's no depth behind it in that midfield.
Exactly.
So that's going to be the hard thing for the Giants, and that's where they've been so historically good, is having, such a good wave of midfield talent and young midfield talent. Now they've just drafted that this year, so that's going to be a year, 2 years off, really seeing that similar style that we've seen from the Giants list, where they continually regenerate. Yeah, just a real step back this year. BT, the off-season storyline. So we've been talking about every team. What is the main off-season storyline for this team, for the Giants? Is it the new coach, Adam Kingsley? A little bit out of left field. How do you think he's going to go?
I think it was the right move. I think it was time for Leon Cameron to go. I think they had to make a change here. They had to do something because this club isn't really moving forward at all. But also, I think the other thing what we don't really talk about, or clubs don't really, everyone doesn't really talk about much, they keep getting these high draft picks, and they always have. And they develop these players, and then these players just go. They play their 50, 80 type games, and then they're out. And now we're doing the exact same thing now. They lost these top quality players, get these high draft picks back in, and I guarantee these Cadman type players, they're going to come in, play their 50 odd games, and another club will take them. And GWS is...
Cadman will stay. Cadman will stay, and that's why they went so hard for him. They didn't have to. They didn't have to give up as much as they gave up to get to pick one to get him, but they had to get him, you know what I mean? Because they knew that this is a guy that wasn't going to leave. They couldn't go after Wardlaw or Sheasel or one of these Victorian guys, because like you said, that's exactly what would have happened.
It's hard. Obviously there's always that chance that he's going to say, but there's always that chance if he comes out and he's a quality player, obviously being a number one pick, but if he comes out, dominates and whatever, you see these other big name clubs, these Victorian clubs, any other club, they're going to start throwing money at these young big forwards. And it's when you're a young player, it's hard to turn down these big contracts. Look at Taranto. There was all this talk. He's never leaving Sydney. He's always staying in Sydney. And now he's straight back to Victoria.
Yeah, but the cap situation didn't help. The Giants had really sold the farm when they made that grand final, and they've got some, real top-heavy deals on that list. So they did the clean out. They're going to make room for Cadman when his contract comes up. They'll be able to pay him whatever he wants. So
that's what they need to do.
They
need that quality keyed forward there. They've lost these Patton and Jeremy Cameron type players, over the years, and they just need this key forward that will actually stay there. Boyd as well, yes.
From inside the centre square.
He's kicked a goal. I only watched that maybe 3 or 4 days ago, and it's still funny to this day. It's still like I just watched it for the first time.
How good is Bristol? He's something else. Alrighty, let's get back on track here with the Giants. All Australian chance. I want you to pick one player for me, because there actually is a few genuine All Australian players that could feature in the team this year for the Giants.
There is. You've obviously got your Toby Green, your Kelly, Canelio, Whitfield type players, but I'm going to stay away from those players, and I'm going with the young fella. I'm going with Tom Green. I think he's going to have... He averaged around the 20-odd disposals last season, but he played a lot forward. And with these Taranto and Hopper out, he's going to cement a full-time spot in that midfield. He's going to play full minutes playing midfield. I can see him kind of resting forward, but he's going to play predominantly as a midfielder. I can see him pushing these 27 type disposals a game.
There's more chance of Tom Green winning a Brownlow than Jai Simpkin.
Oh, wow. No chance. If you don't know what we're talking about, refer back to our North Melbourne video and you'll see.
There's some back-to-back shit calls here from BT because Tom Green's no chance of making the All-Australian team this year, BT. He is not making the All-Australian
Well, I didn't want
team.
to be like those boring choices like you fellas do and pick these big-name type players. I thought I would actually do something a little bit left field and someone who can actually, I'm telling you, he's the next Clayton Oliver.
Oh, wow.
That's a call.
There you go.
He is a big
He
frame.
showed it, though.
Yeah.
He did. Like, there were the first few weeks of last season. He was
Exactly.
he was doing great, and he just got shoved out of the mix for some reason.
Exactly. So imagine if he's playing full minutes in the midfield.
Still not making All-Australian this year, though. If we have the Giants finishing where we think they're going to finish, they're not having a midfielder in the All-Australian team.
I completely agree. If there's anyone who's going to make it, I think it's like a Josh Kelly, but that's a boring call. I didn't want to do that.
Yeah. What do you make of Sammy
I'll back
Taylor? Sammy Taylor, obviously All-Australian
yeah.
last year. How do you think he's going to go this year, BT?
Well, they're definitely going to see a lot of ball down there.
Yeah.
It's he's an absolute quality defender, and he deserved it last year. I think there's a lot of defenders. There's a lot of good quality defenders this year, and he's definitely up there. But it's whether he can hold on to one of those spots.
So Sammy Taylor obviously was a genuine breakout player for last year. I mean that is the definition of a breakout season. Have you got someone in mind? You know, maybe a Tom Green, or if you want to go somewhere different and not be boring and generic, a breakout player, BT, for the Giants this year.
I'm gonna love to hear your opinion on this one. So speaking of these midfielders gone, obviously leave spots. So you're gonna say your Kelly, Green, Canelio. That's your midfield essentially. You got obviously players who will rotate through. So this leaves up a spot on the wing. I'm going Lockie Ash. I think he's going to have a full just run on that wing the whole time. Because apparently, I was going to say Whitfield, but he's apparently training at halfback. So he's going to be a permanently halfback, and Whitfield is, and Ash is training on the wing. So if there's anyone who's going to have an outstanding year, I think it's Ash. Perryman, he had a very good year last year, and then he got injured for about 6 weeks or so. I think this is going to be very similar to Ash. He's going to have a pretty solid year.
Tazza, correct me if I'm wrong. I think Ash did a lot of tagging last year and has a really good fitness base. So the wing role, could be a good spot for him.
Yeah, he'll be able to cover up that wing up and down all day. And yeah, he was actually quite good with the tag. So he did a few jobs on some key on ballers, and I mean, yeah, they need to get away from that. I don't think that's going to work for him. He needs to be not an on-baller, but he needs to get his fair share of the ball. He needs to be proactive and not reactive with his game. So I actually don't mind the call. I think this is his time. He's had a few years in the system now, and I think he really should hit the ground running if he can make that wing his own.
And BT, we're looking for a player that is going to be under the pump this year. So someone that's going to be fighting for their spot. List spot may be in doubt next year. Someone that needs a big year genuinely for a number of reasons.
So I've come up with two. And I'm gonna say both because we do what we want here. There's no rules. So what I'm going to start off with, I'm going to go with who's under the pump. It's not a player. It's this club. They need to figure out a way to get more numbers to their games. They need to figure out a way to get more members because there were so many games where they had like 7, 8, 9,000 people at the games. They need to sort something out there.
This reminds me of like that Simpsons episode where they just started getting dead people in the voting for the president or something like that. Like maybe that's where the Giants go. I don't know, but yeah.
They're going down the Port Adelaide path, and they're going to have the tarps.
Old Tarp City.
But
those are some dark times.
For the player, I'm going Adam Kennedy. he's been in the system for, this will be his 12th season, I think now, 148 games. There you go. I did some research. That's about it. But from what I've read, he's training at half forward and half back. So if you read into that, they clearly can't find a spot for him in this team. He's probably good enough as he's like that top fringe type player. So if he's in the squad, he's not out of the squad. Like he's in when there's an injury or there's no spot for him. That's what I'm saying. I don't know where they're going to play him, but being at the club for 12 years, 148 games, 30 years old, I don't see how much longer he'll be at this club.
See, this is a guy where when it's a good team and a premiership team, you call him a utility and he's a good player to have on the list. But when you're in a situation like the Giants, this is the definition of a list clogger, Tazza, and hard to see him hanging around next year.
Yeah, these are the kind of guys when you have a shit list like they do, he's going to get exposed. And yeah, I don't know how he might sit on the bench. He might play. Yeah, he'll play his minutes, but he's not going to be much of an impact player. He's just there to fill a spot. And I mean, yeah, a list clogger. That's all he is because he's the wrong side. Well, he's the wrong side of 25 in this game. Sort of, he's just not really doing a hell of a lot on that list.
I like that phrase, the wrong side of 25. I like it. Very good. Here's one that's, this is a question without notice, BT. Jesse Hogan. What do we make of Jesse and what has he got to do this year? Because he's another guy that I see as someone that is maybe under the pump. He's getting a bit older, hasn't really strung the games together at the Giants. I mean, what does his future hold?
You would think he's going to start at full forward. He's going to be there full forward. He's injury prone. Very rarely plays a full season. He always has drama outside of the games. He has to have a full 22, 23 to 20 odd games season. He has to play, and he needs to kick your 40 plus goals. He has to, and for them to win games, they need goals from him and Toby Green. They need like 80 to 90 goals this season from those two guys for them to win any games.
So, Tazza, how do you see this team finishing outside the bottom four? Because really, I think from where we're sitting, that's the challenge.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have got him pegged in the bottom four. And like I said before, I don't know how I've got him pegged 13th. That seems like a world away from what I'm looking at here. This 23 seems nowhere near it. It's the fringe guys, like you guys like O'Halloran. They need to take those steps up. They need to provide that depth, I think, in midfield. We spoke about they've got that top level talent, but they need the supporting acts to improve and sort of, prop them up a little bit when three guys can't carry a midfield. So it's those guys that need to take the next step. Bruce needs to stop hurting people too. That would help. I mean,
you're a bully.
They need him to play a fair few games and not either be injured or killing people. I mean, he he smashed the hell out of bloody Tim English and cost me my bloody fantasy, whatever. That's another story. But yeah, look, that's a big. He needs to. I'm not saying that's GWS as a whole, but there's some tempers in this team. Obviously, Toby Green, Bruce, like maybe they need their best 22 on the park, and they need to cut that shit out.
There you go. Cut that shit out if you're a Giants fan. If you disagree with us, if you think the Giants are in for a big year, Adam Kingsley, first-year head coach, going to revolutionise the club. They've still got some of the stalwarts there. Let us know. We're happy for you to get in the comments and tell us that we're wrong. We absolutely love that. We love talking to you guys in the comments as well. So looking for your feedback, looking for your support. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Check us out on Spotify. If you're a podcast listener, we're getting this in the podcast forum now. We know everybody doesn't like seeing our faces. So however you want to consume this content, make sure you find a way to do so. BT, Tazza, great work for you boys as always. Steve, we're looking to have you back in for our next preview. long awaited. He's been in the twos for a while now, so it's going to be good to have him back on board for season 2023. Aside from that, fellas, we'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.